Hi guys, I hope everybody's getting a good start to their week. We're on the other side of Thanksgiving and we're looking towards moving fast towards Christmas. Was thinking about Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is a time where some of us work, some of us don't have to work on that day. Some of us we're around a lot of people, or we're alone, and there could be some of us who have had just a really nice Thanksgiving filled with people or family, friends. And some of us might have had a bumpy Thanksgiving, or a mixed bag, or even just a really rough time, or a hurtful time with family or friends, and we're alone. And I guess I just want to say that you're not alone. I can speak for myself after so many years that I probably have had one of all those Thanksgivings, or Christmases. It's just life, and I guess I just want people to know that you're not alone. You're not the only person that may have had a difficult Thanksgiving. So just know that. One of the things that I've heard is a question, with is there anything to be thankful for? And I guess I just want to throw out there that the presence of difficulty, as dire as difficulty that we may be facing soon, does this presence of difficulty does not equate to an absence of blessing. And sometimes our hearts may need time to get to a thankful place. But the old adage of count your blessings is definitely something that is real. And so don't believe the lie that the presence of difficulty, it doesn't mean the absence of blessings. So anyway, moving forward, I was thinking about us rounding the corner into 2025, and that got me remembering. And I'm not sure if it was biology class or history class. I don't remember which class it was. What I do remember is that I met a cute guy. And this cute guy was really nice. He was smart, he was funny, and he was really humble. His friends kept him humble. I think it was very real that they would tease him about hearing him before they saw him, because he had so many awards on his letter jacket that he made a lot of noise walking down the hallway. But for me, I was, debate team was where I thrived, and French club and all that kind of thing. So, but we hit it off, and got along, as they say. So there came a time when he headed off to K-State to play baseball, and I headed off to Mizzou to study STEM. And what I took with me was this newfound interest in cycling, which this young guy introduced me to. And so before I took off to Mizzou, I upgraded my 10-speed Schwinn to a 12-speed Centurion, and I had my trusty Richards bike book in hand, and went to go ride the rural roads of Missouri for a couple of years. A couple of weeks into that, I have a bevy of cousins in Kansas, and got invited to ride the Octagenta, as they had heard that I was, cycling. And you guys, this was back before Lance Armstrong. This was like Greg LeMond days, So cycling wasn't big. It's not big over here compared to Europe, but it wasn't big back then either. I think I don't know. It was a kind of an interesting, different thing, So as a quirky, nerdy girl, I found different to be fun. So anyway, they invited me to this Octagena, which is an 80-mile bike ride. It's not a race, so I felt comfortable after a couple of months to do this. It was in October, and I had about 4 to 6 weeks to train for it. And anyway, so I find myself at KU in Lawrence, Kansas, with this bevy of cousins around me and their significant others, and we set off. So we got to this long, straight, flat road, as is typical in Kansas, and there was a crosswind, and one of my cousin's boyfriends came alongside, and he said, "Hey Terry, this is a pretty stiff wind. I know this is your first ride. How long have you been riding?" I said 2, and he said 2 years, and I said no, 2 months. So he was very kind in that he taught me how to draft. So he said, "Terry, just hang back around your front wheel around my back wheel ish." And so he was on he broke the wind coming from the left, and I was on the right. And he did that just to kind of give me a break. This is my first ride, with people. I've been out riding by myself, for several weeks. So, and thankfully I had trained in the Ozarks, which was really helpful because, yeah, the wind was tough. So we rounded a corner, and the crosswind became a tailwind. And so he took off with a bunch of guys, and they just rode on ahead of us girls. And so, and so the ride continued. That drafting was a really interesting lesson for me. And as we round the corner into 2025, we're not going to have a crosswind. We're going to have a full-on, headwind. And so that made me think of not biking, but geese. Yeah. So you've seen the V's that geese fly in, right, in the sky. And if you've ever been in the country around people who hunt, when you hear some geese honking overhead, everybody stops what they're saying, and you look up and you figure out orient yourself to where the geese are, and then after a pause, you go back to talking. So that's pretty typical out in the sticks, if you will. But all this to say is geese have an aerodynamic lesson for us here. So at the front of the V is a lead goose, and then to its left and to its right, a little further back, kind of like the drafting of a bicycle, is the next set of geese. And so they're drafting off of that lead goose, and then to the left of the left goose and to the right of the right goose, cascading out into a V formation, are the remaining geese in the flock. This is to conserve energy, and when that lead goose gets tired, and I think of Canada geese, not Canadian geese, Canada geese. They might be Canadian or they might be American, but the species is called Canada geese. But all this to say is they fly to conserve energy, because if they're a flock that migrates, this allows them to go quite a distance and save energy. So the lead goose will peel off, go to the back, and then the next goose of the pair that were behind it, goes up into the lead position and takes the brunt of the wind, and then it gets tired and peels off, and that continues as the flock flies could potentially fly for miles and miles. So migration is actually quite interesting, at least to me. So so that's the concept, and I think this is something that we need to do as folks getting through the headwinds of corruption, darkness, lies. We're familiar, but this is a different season that we're headed into. And I still believe that this darkness may be high and it may be broad, but I don't believe that it's deep. And I believe that we can fly through it, and that we can fly through it together. So the bottom line, I guess, guys, is that that we need to peel off when we're tired, and that's okay. We'll go to the back of the line. Someone else will fill that spot and keep us moving forward. And so we all need to recoup, I guess, is what I want to say. And that to the extent that we can have this kind of loose formation in our mind's eye, with the millions of us that are like-minded, that we can rest and get back into the fight, if you will. And for me, I was thinking, what do I need to get into the back of the line, right? Unplugging a little bit from media, etc. And I was like, oh, there's two people that I can reach out to and say, hey, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna get to the back of the line, and would just ask that if something huge comes up, that you would just kind of ping me, make sure that I'm aware of it. And then there's another person I was thinking, if you reading a good article that's pretty significant, like a defining, just just save a couple of links, save links for me and forward them to me when I come up for air, and that way I can just get caught up on some of things. So just a couple of strategies that came across my mind. Others might have something else that might be helpful, that friends and family might be willing to do. But all this to say is, we got to rest. We got to take turns being in the fray, and that's okay, because we got a migration here to get through, and also just remember that that even though this is kind of a decentralized movement, we're all in our homes, and communities might be mixed, that we're together. We are together. It might not feel like it all the time, but we're not alone. So all this to say, thanks for the time. Good to check in with everybody, and let's all take good care of ourselves out there. We're not quite to the headwind, but that's where we're headed. So you all take care, and we'll see you next time.